Hello, everyone. Dave TI, I'm here again. Yesterday I did a video showing some evidence. Somebody claimed I was fake and didn't have evidence, so I showed some evidence. However, I'm had to take the video down because the person who sent me the information to share now says they don't want the information shared because they don't feel, there's a censorship going on in the UK right now. So they think that even though I shared her story, you know, they got to thinking about it and it may hurt her. So out of her wishes, I took it down. But I had some very important stuff I covered in there. And today we're gonna share a story, a bombshell story about direct energy weapons and the use of direct energy weapons. Somebody had sent me in an email, and I really appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure they want to remain anonymous. Also, anybody wanting to even send me their detailed story to share on my channel and read on my channel, I'd be glad to. If you'd want to do a testimony with me, um, I'd be glad to do that too. hollyspunk@gmail.com or targeted testimonies at pm.me. Um, so either way, if you want to type your story out and let me read it, I will. If you want to come on and tell your story verbally, I will. I'm working my best trying to expose this. Okay. I'm going to share a story out of the Bible. I'm going to show y'all some of my evidence. There was a smear campaign from somebody, which I'm not even worried about anymore, calling me a fake TI and all that. And um, I read something yesterday, a very valuable lesson I've learned this week through all these smear campaigns. And anybody wants to see me clear up my other smear campaign, go to Target Individuals United, look up Roy's channel. I did an interview with Roy clearing up some stuff too about me, but I'm done clearing up smear campaigns because I'm I'm done clearing them up. It's a waste of time and energy. You know, you get all upset, then you start searching, looking online. Then by the time you prove yourself that all these people are lying about you, then you've wasted so much of the day and energy, and then you're exhausted and wiped out. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So anyway, this is going to be a good video. I promise you. I'm fixing to share something very interesting. And that was shared with me. And I seen it. There's a Fairness Act on this, so I have the right to share it and comment on it. So I'll be doing commentary on it as we go. But first, I'm going to share a little bit of my evidence. As y'all know, I'm being demonetized April 14th. It's funny, after I did the video on Roy's channel of a certain person smearing my name, now I'm demonetized. I'm not worried about that. God's got me. This is not about money. Didn't make much anyway, just enough to run the channel. Like I said, Zoom cost, video editing apps cost, all of it cost. Um, and then, I put a lot of time and effort in this. The Myron May video, I put 4 hours in making that video on my own time. So, and I'm not asking for anything. I'm still gonna. This is, I was, I had this channel a year and a half. By the way, there's good videos a year and a half. My first videos are good too, by the way, and it'll help you know a little bit about where I came from. I started my first video homeless under the bridge, um, and I got evidence of my mom perping me and all that, and it's unfortunate and it's buried at first videos. But my first year and a half, matter of fact, my first 2 years, I wasn't monetized. And then I got offered to be monetized and took the offer. Now they're trying to demonetize me, and they probably are April 14th. I get to reapply again in 90 days after that. So if you would like, um, if you'd like to help me out, I will put my PayPal and Cash App in the description. Um, and I also have Venmo. Now, that's only if you would like to help me out. I'm not asking. I'm not going to stop doing videos because I'm not getting nothing like that. But I am a self-supporting channel. Um, so, and then another thing, somebody donated $26 super thanks the other day, and I got $14 of it. So it's kind of better if you send donations through PayPal or Cash App anyway. So anyway, enough of that. Um, I'm gonna read a verse. I'm gonna show some evidence, then I'm gonna get into this video I have planned for you today. Um, uh, I'm gonna start doing some commentaries on stuff, and then I haven't forgot about Project Soul Catcher. It's been having a lot going on here lately, especially with V2K and stuff and all that this morning. So anyway, um, sorry, I just felt a little vertigo going on. Okay. So sometimes when they hit me with V2K, I get vertigo. I feel like my equilibrium's off. I get very off balance. Uh, and right now they're telling me I'm gonna die this month, which is a lie, from the pits of hell, and I don't receive it. They're always lying, trying to. Every now and then they'll tell me the truth a couple times, tell me some stuff that's true, and then try to get me to believe them. It's all games, so don't play the game. All right, here we go. Psalm 109. I'm gonna start at verse 21. But you, sovereign Lord, help me for your name's sake. Out of the goodness of your love, deliver me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I fade away like an evening shadow. I'm shaken off like a locust. My knees give way from fasting, and my body is thin and gaunt. I'm an object to the scorn to my accusers. When they see me, they shake their heads. Help me, Lord God. Save me according to your unfailing love. Let them know that it is your hand, that you, Lord, have done it. While they curse, may you bless. May those who attack me be put to shame. May your servant rejoice. May my accusers be clothed with disgrace and wrapped in a shame as a cloak. With my mouth I will greatly extol the Lord. In the great throng of worshippers I will praise him. For he stands at the right hand of the needy to save their lives from those who would condemn them. And Psalm 109, that's a very powerful psalm for people who's wanting justice. So if you start at the beginning of that, there's a lot more to Psalms 109. Okay, so somebody said I never show evidence and all that. And the reason I don't show evidence is because perps love plausible deniability, perps love, and I shared this yesterday, I know, but I had to take the video I shared all this stuff in yesterday down, so I'm going to share this real quick one more time, and then I'm going to get right into the video that I'm my main goal today. Sorry, I'm a little stumble with my words. I'm getting V2K at the same time that I'm talking to y'all, so just bear with me. Um, and somebody sent me this shirt. Now I disagree with Havana syndrome. I think it should be uh what could we call Havana syndrome? Let's see. I'm trying to think of a good word for it. Unjustly targeted civilian syndrome. Because we were dealing with this long before any diplomats were dealing with it. Guarantee you that. So I'm rambling. Let me get into this evidence. I've already got it pulled up, some of it. So the reason, and I'm going to tell you something, the reason I don't show evidence as I used to back in the day, back in 2018 and stuff, but I don't show evidence because first of all, um, any evidence you show, people will try to say stuff bad. And anyway, I don't like giving perps of satisfaction. You know, they've done tortured me, so why re-bring it up and show, because they're always leaving plausible deniability, so they just get a second laugh most of the time because people's just like, oh, they were pulled over using the wrong phone. Or you sure that wasn't something right here? I had blisters show up on my legs. This is the I don't really get physical burns that much, but when they were heating me up back in 2022 and 2023, there was days I sat here all day with ice over my head, water bags over my head. That aluminum foil hat I posted on YouTube uh, only made my head heat up worse. So now I finally got like 3 freezer caps, and so I alternate them when I'm getting heated up. So this burn right here, if you can see, there's a blister right there, like I've touched something scalding hot. I did not touch nothing. I had jeans on. Matter of fact, my jeans are pulled up right there. Okay, so I could sit there and show evidence of stalkers and all that, and have y'all tell me, well, it could be this, could be that, but people who's I live here, so I know what's normal and what's abnormal in the neighborhood. That was a video I posted. With the light switch and sits right behind where we sit. We wonder why we always get hit, even though we under. Now that wasn't that. Now for you, FYI, that meter was a ways away from the light switch, so it wasn't like it was right up in the light switch. Light switches usually don't put out frequencies. Like if you put your meter right up to any electrical outlet, it's going to go off. But a light switch, usually if you pull it back as far as I had it, all my other light switches don't go off like that. So over 40 in electromagnetic frequency is high, and it was 105. Well, that was money. We sent another TI. Um, so let me get through that because here's a laser. Came down the garage at 4 in the morning. Now they do something called indirection. So I was getting hit harder than about as hard as I've ever been hit in my life that morning. I'll never forget it. February 24th, 2023. And I looked on the camera and there's a beam coming down on the garage. So, okay, let's see. And then I'm going to show you a couple of stalking and a couple of Holly's burns, and then I'm done showing my evidence because I got tons of it. And like I said, the ones who believe me um, and stick by me without me having to show all this because they know who I am are the ones that, but some people have to be shown proof, so I shouldn't even say that like that. But okay, it's just aggravating. You know, okay, let's see. See this, I was getting hit big time when this thing was in front of our house for about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, sitting right there in front of our driveway. And that was when I first moved in 2022. I'll never forget this weird. I was like, what's in the back of that thing? Let's see what else we got. Yeah, it wasn't raining that night, and that would have been March 12th, 2023 at 6:30. And so I don't want to say it's a laser or whatever. I just know that it was weird. Okay, let's see. I got some of these labeled. Okay, here's the spotlight one. And as you can see, the spotlight going through the yard like it's looking for something to lock onto. Now, I'm not sure that's what it was for, but weird stuff. Let me see if I can get one of a stalker. Let's see, this says theater. Let's see what they do. No, that's not the one I was wanting to show. No, that's not it either. Hold on, let me back out. I mean, all these are good evidence, but I was trying to show you something that, you know, it shows you um, exactly what they do. Uh, One more plausible deniability can almost, there's another spotlight. Look, watch this one. I don't know what they were searching for. I think I come back down and it was back on the car again. Oh, never mind. I was searching for it, so never mind. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I'm trying to show you the street theater one. AT&T. Here's the one. The reason I show this one is because this is, if anybody can't tell, that street theater. So I was looking at the camera at 1:12 in the morning. I was looking at the camera, I've been looking at it for about 5 or 10 minutes straight, just watching everything going on. So then this car pulls up, backs up. Now he's pulling up again. You see him, he's pulling way up there. So now he's going to back up. Hold on. So he's still right there. He's fixing to back up. You're going to see him back up in 1 second. Okay. Here he goes. He's backing up. And this is 1:13 in the morning. I'm watching cameras, fixing to go to bed. All right, now he backed all the way up there. And just some theater. Now watch what he's going to do now. Now he's going to pull forward again. And he's going to turn around and sit in front of my mailbox for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now 1:13 in the morning, that's rare. I mean, it's not rare for this house, but it's rare for this neighborhood. All right, so there, he's going to sit there for quite a while. Okay, so that's it with that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Now I'm going to show you something else. This this was outside our garage. Like bullseye, you're a target. Um, oh yeah, that's my helmet I was talking about wearing. I found that in the closet the other day. Man, I put so many layers of aluminum foil in that thing and only burnt worse. Okay, let me see if I can find albums. All these burns. And that's almost show that. There's a lot more, just know that. All right, now I'm gonna get into the video. So people saying I don't have evidence, I could keep going. I could show hours worth of evidence. I got it on my Google Drive of scenarios like that, burns, um, things showing up on our front porch, like targets and all that stuff. But there's no sense in doing it. And I don't look down on anybody who shares their evidence, because um. Some people get really good evidence. I know Lorraine on alternative homesteading gets undeniable evidence, and if you get undeniable evidence, then of course show it. Um, and I got some I could say was undeniable, but people, I don't like when people, different strokes for different folks. If you have evidence and you feel like exposing, expose. This is just me. This is my theory. I don't look down on nobody who posts evidence. Matter of fact, I think it needs to be shown in some instances. They love leaving plausible deniability with mine. Um, so I don't even engage in getting called a liar about my evidence and then having to react and all that. See, because, you know, my reaction is, reactions hurt me. Because I stress, I react, I get upset, and it's not even worth it with me. So I'm not telling y'all not to share evidence. I'm just saying for me, I just feel like the perks get off on it a second time, knowing that their stuff is all over YouTube that they're doing to me. So that's just me. So if you share evidence, don't think I look down on you. I actually salute you, because you have the ability to deal with naysayers and all that better than me. Okay, so here we go. Somebody shared this with me. This is redacted. And I'm gonna, and there's a Fair Use Act on it. So I'm gonna play it and I will stop as we go and give commentary. So here we go.
From journalist Stephen Baker, who says that General Mark Milley during the January 6th protests, used directed energy weapons against those protesters. In fact, many months later, boasted about it. Directed energy weapons to break up the protests. How exactly do these work? This is a stunning admission. And Steve has been working on this report for, I believe, 2 years of journalism to get to the bottom of this. And Steve Baker from Blaze Media joins us now. Steve, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. This is a stunning report, and when I saw you first posting about this, I was shocked. Can you just walk me through the pieces of this and how these directed energy weapons were deployed against these protesters?
Well, here's what we don't know. Let me start there. We don't know to what extent they were used, at least on the DoD side of things. We do know that LRADs, or the audio versions, were in fact used by the United States Park Police. So this is where it gets so confusing, Clayton, is because there's so many distinctions between these types of weapons. What we do know is that Mark Milley was, in fact, in a meeting. This was just this past fall in 2024 with about 20 other active duty officers, one of them being our source for this story, in which he was either bragging or just mentioning in casual discussion, whatever the case may be, that they had authorized or signed off on the use of both, as he said, heat and sound weapons to be used at Lafayette Square Park on June 1st, 2020. That was, of course, the famous scene where Trump walked across the street. He had the Bible, he held the Bible up over his head, that sort of thing. We've got confirmation from a Department of Interior IG report out the police version of these audio weapons being used. And we have no confirmation yet, either by video or otherwise, of the DoD versions being used. But if the DoD versions were just authorized for deployment, that meant it was intended to be used. And if DoD was firing on the United States citizens on the streets of America in our capital, we have some serious questions to ask.
Right. And so, to be clear, these weapons were used, according to your reports, in June of 2020. Do we have any evidence at all that these may have been used in any capacity on January 6th?
Part two of our story is going to address that. I don't mind going ahead and telling you right now that we are going to provide evidence of the same type of system that was used by United States Park Police was in fact used on January 6th. We have video evidence of that, and we'll be presenting that.
Wow. Well, that's unbelievable. And so let's talk about some of these heated weapons here, because I have to say, when I read your report, I kind of got up in the middle of the night and I kind of had a moment, because 11 years ago, when I worked at Fox News, we covered a report about these new DoD directed energy weapons that were being developed. And they invited the press to kind of come and test them out. And my colleague at the time, Peter Ducey, got to try these out. And he talked about how incredibly unpleasant they were. I just want to roll this tape from 11 years ago. Forgive how young I look. Watch.
Sorry.
Revealing its spread.
Sorry about the ad. All right, now watch this. And there's a Fairness Act on this. So he said on his video, because when it got sent to me, I was like, well, I wonder if I could use this. And then sure enough, I was watching Redacted last night. He had a good one about geoengineering and what they're doing in the skies. And at the end of it, he said, yeah, I have a Fairness Act, which means I can show this for educational purposes. So a lot of people that watch my show have been hit by direct energy weapons and know all about this stuff. This just further confirms what's going on. So please pay attention. I mean, it's only 14 more minutes is all I'm asking you to listen to. It's very informative.
Crowd control instrument that could also protect U.S. ships from pirates. The very intrepid Peter Ducey volunteering to test this thing out, Allie.
And no, he was not the guy doing the shooting. He was actually shot at, and Peter's going to tell us what it felt like and show us that moment. Peter, take it away.
Allison, I'll tell you first.
Now, they're kind of joking about it, but we get tortured with these things every day. Um, so I wouldn't be smiling talking about this. There's people dying in their house from weapons like this. This is very serious, to be joking about. Um, I don't know, and I just don't understand the joy and laughter at somebody getting hit by it, tested it out, because what they're not understanding is there's people in their homes being tortured, not knowing how to deal with this. So here we go.
That I learned this week firsthand. Non-lethal also means not pleasant. Look at this. You can't see it, hear it, or smell it, but it makes unruly mobs do this.
So is that the same thing we're talking about here, Steve?
No, there's actually three different types of these directed energy weapons that we are going to be revealing through this series on that topic at the Blaze. The first type is the type that the young, very young Peter Ducey introduced right there. Now, there are actually YouTube videos going back decades of DoD actually showing videos of these being used, even Congress members allowing those to be demonstrated upon them. And the same exact reaction that Peter had in that video, they had as well. So these are pulse RF frequency microwave energy bursts that are delivered for just a couple of quick seconds. It heats up the outer layer of your skin. It gets very hot, very uncomfortable, very quickly. They can be used in battlefield situations. They can be used for riot control. We have seen those used in various locations around the country over the years. Now, the audio versions are not quite as painful in that manner, but they're so intense and so loud, and the right frequencies are being used that creates literal pain in your head and in your eardrums, and it creates the same effect. It creates confusion, pain, and ostensibly, and the intent is for the riotous behavior. Those behaving riotously, they are forced to run the opposite direction. We also know now that, of course, we've heard a lot of news lately over the last few years about this Havana syndrome type weapons that are being used overseas against our our State Department, our intelligence community, that sort of thing, our foreign affairs operatives that work overseas, legitimate jobs that our government performs overseas. Catherine Herridge a week or so ago had a big reveal about that. She had a CIA whistleblower come out talking about these, what they call anomalous health incidences related to Havana syndrome. So that's a second class of these DEW weapons. Then we have what we're defining. This is the Blaze. I know the scientists are not going to like me for we're categorizing it ourselves just for public consumption and to make it easier, because it gets really esoteric on the science side of things. But the third class, or what we are learning from our sources at both DoD and inside the intelligence community, are a class of what they're called agitation weapons. Now, these are not the big truck-mounted weapons like.
Now, stay tuned. He's going to talk about being ostensibly separated. And my bad, I went blank. What I was going to say is he talks about being ostensibly separated from the Army, and he also talks about these weapons being small, as being carried in a backpack and having the antenna in your vest. People walking around with them. So here he goes again. I'm sorry for keep stopping it, but I feel like commentary is needed.
You saw hit Ducey with that blast of radiation that heated up his skin on one side of his body. But these are backpack size. The miniaturization has allowed the capability to produce sufficient energy that an individual, an operative, can wear these in a backpack. The antenna can be mounted in the breastplate of their body armor, and then they can send over RF frequencies that can be highly attenuated to affect certain types of certain organs in the body. So, and I do everything in my power to actually make this as easily comprehensible as possible, both for myself and for the audience. But imagine if you're sitting in, your old 1984 pickup truck or whatever, and you got an antenna, coming out of the side, outside the window of the truck, and you turn on your AM or your FM radio dial. And the reason why you're able to hear that and those radio frequencies don't affect us is the AM and FM frequency range do not affect the human body, but that antenna resonates to those frequencies and then sends them down to your radio, which interprets that, and then you can pick out the specific frequency and you can hear the music or the talk radio, or back then Rush Limbaugh and in 94 or whatever. And so that is what radio frequencies do. What scientists have discovered, particularly in the Defense Department, not only our own, but also overseas, this technology actually began in the Soviet Union. They were tip of the spear. They were on the front line of this going all the way back to the 50s. They were working on what's called psychotronic weapons. Psychotronic, not psychotropic, psychotronic weapons. These were radio and or audio weapons that would identify what organs in our body responded to certain radio frequencies. And then it was the matter of delivering that. So this is where we get into Havana syndrome as well. That's why these people that have been subjected to and have developed these AHIs, or anomalous health incidences, have long-term damage, either confusion, memory loss. Some of them cannot even remember being in State Department service anymore. They don't even recall their time in service. These are being directed at our best and our brightest. They're not being directed at the diplomat corps necessarily. When I say the diplomat corps, I'm not talking about the ambassadors. The ambassadors are political appointees. They're not the people who get the job done. These weapons are being directed at the people who actually do work overseas, do the good work overseas, and that they need to be taken out. And so now we're getting into the agitation weapons, which are the smaller miniaturized version, which have been developed for both battlefield and also for close quarter urban conflict, riots, where they can actually create behaviors in individuals by attenuating a very, very tight and certain frequency range that can make your heart resonate. They can stop heartbeats. They can resonate with the lungs at a different attenuation. They can make you have trouble breathing. And the really frightening part is, well, not that stopping your heart isn't pretty frightening, but also they can actually make the different folds of your brain at different frequencies, different folds resonate at different attenuation of this particular frequency range, and can cause confusion, agitation, violence, and hearing voices in your head.
You heard it, didn't you? Now, I thought that it was impossible for neighbors to use this technology. I thought it was all a certain group or organization says there's no neighbors involved. Am I saying everybody who's targeted, there's neighbors involved? No. But in some cases there are neighbors involved. So, and there are handheld weapons. Karen Stewart told us that. Nobody believed her. She tried to tell us that there was people carrying them around in backpacks, and nobody believed her. Well, certain people didn't believe her. And there's a certain group of people that have doxed and gaslighted TIs, and I'm not going to get into it because I don't get into the drama of who he say, she say, but they've doxed and gaslighted TIs about when they say, basically calling them crazy and saying, just belittling them for saying anything about their neighbors or somebody having a backpack and following them around or whatever. So here you got it. We got 7 more minutes to go.
And now we know beyond any shadow of a doubt that this classification of these weapons actually exist.
See this property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month? Well, it's been sitting empty for the last 28 days, and
we're not the only ones that have them. And we're not the only ones that have them. I highly doubt that we'd be the only ones that would have these at this point. I have to say, just kind of as a side note here, Steve, I've spoken to whistleblowers um, who have told me they were about to come forward. These are separate whistleblowers at separate parts of the country. They were about to come forward on a specific issue, and at almost at the same time, they were hit with some crazy affliction, and they sort of joked to me. You know, they sort of joked to me that we hear about the Savannah syndrome. I'm not so I believe it now. They were simultaneously hit almost with the exact same affliction, thousands of miles apart in the United States. So I'm not surprised by it at all. And here on this show, conspiracy theories are just 6 month spoiler alerts. But I have to ask you, just on the legal side of this, I mean, you know, I'm not a constitutional expert, but from what I understand, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, any other branches in the military aren't allowed to enforce domestic laws under the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. They're not allowed to unless they have authorization by Congress to basically attack United States citizens. So does the Department of Defense have some sort of legal authority to use these directed energy weapons on Americans?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that, like yourself, I don't do UFO tinfoil hat type work. If you go read our article, everything that we reveal there is based on direct sourcing from active duty military or retired military and intelligence community sources. It's congressional hearing testimonies that we quote directly on these weapons projects, well as the actual data that's archived. There's tons and tons of unclassified information about the historical development, use, and research development of all of these classes of directed energy weapons. That's where we're pulling this from. We're not pulling it out of our ass. All right. We're not making this up as we go. We're doing everything we can to avoid even getting into that area. So now, to getting directly into your question here about deployment of these by our own agencies against American people, especially military, I will challenge you to look up a phrase. In fact, I'll just set your audience off, and if anybody finds anything or anybody wants to contact me or you on that, and I hope you'll share with me the messages. Look up the phrase "ostensibly separated from the Army." This is a active duty, well-known phraseology in our, not only our intelligence community, but also in our special operations, particularly the more dark side of our special operation forces, in which they are working under either an MOU, a memorandum of understanding of the CIA and foreign activities, or with the FBI and domestic activities, in which they are ostensibly separated from the Army, or they become temporarily and ostensibly separated. And then suddenly, magically, they're back at their base, you know, just outside Washington, D.C., Belvoir and Meade. And suddenly they're ostensibly reactivated again.
So a private military contractor working, you know, in a combat zone might be ostensibly separated from the military. It operates independently of, but then gets absorbed back into the military, so they don't have to abide by the Constitution, essentially.
Yeah, they've learned how to do this in foreign actions and activities where we're not supposed to be anyway. I mean, we don't have legal right to be operating in this particular hot spot or zone or whatever it is that our IC community and our special operatives are working in from the DoD. And so just the fact that we don't have permission to be there, they become ostensibly separated for a period of time. Might be for a day, might be for a month or two, but they become ostensibly separated. That where it's essentially just a plausible deniability, a trope is all that is. And then they're absorbed back in legally, technically, and they're back in the Army again. And it's the way it works. And unfortunately, we now know that this is happening here as well.
I was going to say, I could understand them trying to pull this off in the Congo, but Lafayette Square and on the Mall at Capitol Hill is maybe not going to fly with members of Congress. Have you spoken to any? I mean, you can tell me, or you can not tell me on the record or not. Have you spoken to any members of Congress about this? Whether or not they
Yes.
plan to hold any kind of investigation?
No, we have, as a matter of fact, I was just in 2 congressional offices this week on Tuesday. I was up in.
I'm gonna pause this before the last minute and 15 seconds. But here's some scenarios of being extensively separated from the Army. Cover up. The separation might be used to conceal a more serious issue or misconduct. Misleading narrative. The public or other parties might be given a false or incomplete account of the separation. Misleading information. The person might be separated for a reason that's not what they were led to believe or what's being said publicly. Um, uh, Okay, military separations, voluntary separation can occur at the end of the term of service. Involuntary can occur for medical, administrative, disciplinary, discharge. So anyway, it's basically saying, if they have somebody that needs to go do something that is unconstitutional, they'll separate them, ostensibly separated, and then they can just come back. That's what I get out of it anyway. So if they have something they need to do, like he explained, they will make them ostensibly separated. They'll go do it, and then they'll come back, and he could be a week, a day, or a month. So here's the last minute and 15 seconds. I really appreciate everybody who's still with me this far. I really appreciate the support.
DC for January 6th affairs, the four-year commemorative events and things of that nature. Participating myself, as you know, it was a grand up years to the Department of Justice for me to be sitting in the press gallery inside the House chamber during the certification of the Electoral College vote on Monday. And then Tuesday, I had meetings with congressional staffers and congressmen on this particular issue.
Well, Steve, amazing work. I know it's been a whirlwind for you, and I'll be respectful of your time and get you out of here. We'll be looking for the second piece of this story. Can you let us know when that's about to drop?
As it was with the first part 1, they put us through multiple layers of editorial review on a story like this, and then it gets triggered by legal as well. So I had anticipation that the last one was going to come out a few days earlier than it actually dropped. So if I predicted, I might be wrong, but it would be, my hopes are that probably by the first of the week.
Great. Well, unbelievable work here, Steve. Thank you for this.
Okay, again, now I will put the link to this channel in the description. It's redacted. Now, with these channels, the only thing that they put out good information, and I'm not talking bad about Redacted at all, because me and Holly watch Redacted a lot. However, I just don't see how they can talk about certain stuff that if I talk about, I get banned, if you know what I mean. So that's a question I have. Other than that, do I agree with everything they say? No, but you're not going to agree with everything your favorite podcaster says, or any kind of podcaster says, because the greatest weapon on earth is the media and information campaign, disinformation campaign. So the only thing I can put together about some of these shows, and I'm not talking about Redacted, I'm talking about other shows I know for a fact, they'll release a lot of good information, but they'll mix disinformation in with it. And so sometimes they may be telling real good information, then the next 3 shows, it's all disinformation to lead you down the wrong path. And then they'll hit you with little nuggets of real information. And that's the only way I can figure they get away with saying certain words that smaller platforms are not to say or get to talk about the stuff. So anyway, I thought I would share that for all the people suffering from, like me, Holly, and others, from weapons attacks, vertigo, internal organ vibration, shocks to the brain, heated up, and I could keep going. So I remember my first direct energy weapon attack. I think I got hit with some kind of riot control thing because I was walking the street in Springfield, Missouri, and my head started heating up very bad. My vision got so blurry, and I've told this story before, but since we're talking about direct energy weapons, so what they did was, so I'm I'm thinking it's for some reason they mind controlled me, and when I was getting burnt, I would step. So you got the grass to the left. I'm on the sidewalk and the road to the right where people are getting off the interstate and stuff and driving like bad out of hell. So what they did was when I started getting hit, I started walking on the grass. Well, I got hit worse on the grass. So I stepped back on the sidewalk and I'm walking and I'm still getting hit pretty bad. So I said, well, let me see. It lessened up a little bit when I was on the sidewalk. So let's see what happens when I get on the street. So when I get on the street where cars are coming at me, it stops. So of course I chose that option. I was so confused. I mean, the weapon had me confused and everything and it was so intense. I'm doing anything. I'm walking the street with cars coming at me. Um, I'm trying to keep it from attacking me again. And needless to say, uh, being that I was walking the street, the police came and anyway, so they're telling me that they're asking me why I keep moving back and forth. Because the more I move back and forth, that's all I remember is I was getting some relief. He's like, "Sir, why do you keep moving back and forth?" I said, "Because I'm burning up right now. I'm burning hot, and I get relief when I'm going back and forth." Um, and then so he calls in. This is a true story. He radios, and this happened in Springfield, Missouri. He radios in and asked some woman what my vitals were. And she gave the temperature and blood pressure. Um, and there's more to the story. It's blocked out of my mind right now. I've told it before. Anyway, she gives my temperature and my blood pressure. Uh, Then they put me in the back of a police car, say they're taking me to hospital for evaluation. The whole time they do V2K where my mom's talking through the walkie-talkie to me, and I'm talking back to my mom, holding the whole conversation in the car. And the cops are like, "Who you talking to?" and all that. So that day was and that was when I was investigating Jade Helm really, really deep. Anyway, I don't. That day was the worst day as far as mind control. We got it. The night before, I experienced V2K for the first time, so all this stuff was new to me. They mind controlled me to walk this line. Anyway, it's another story for another day. I've told it before, and it just sounds so off the wall. Unless you're a real mind control victim or a real TI, you would not believe what I would tell you anyway about that day. Uh, Horrible day. So I say that to say this, for 2 months after that, I had to have glasses to see, to read, or do anything. So they hit me so hard, it done something to my vision for 2 months straight. And then after 2 months, everybody was surprised that knew me because they're like, "I thought you needed glasses." Well, I did need glasses. And then I took my glasses off one day. My vision was back to normal. So, that day, just thinking about that day is just so traumatic to me. I don't even want to. I'm just gonna get off that subject right now. Um, but anyway, I'll be doing more videos like this. You can find the link in the description to this video. And I will be doing, if anybody has any information they would like me to share, any testimonies they'd like me to share, or if you'd like to come on one-on-one and do an interview and let me know what's going on, let everybody know what's going on as far as your targeting. You got to understand when you speak out and you ain't got to show your face, or I can change your name. Um, but it's important to have victims speaking out because other victims are coming, new victims every day find my channel, find other people's channels, and when they hear other people going through it, it helps them calm down and be like, "All right, look, I'm not the only one." It makes them feel a little bit better. That's the whole reason I started this channel. Is to keep the next TI from committing suicide or the next TI from figuring out what I want to. I want them to know what's going on because I know how it is. I was targeted from I know for a fact from 2014 to 2018, and I didn't even know what a TI was. So I know what it's like not knowing what's going on, not understanding what's going on, thinking you're losing your mind. Everybody thinks you're crazy because you're trying to tell them they're stalking you everywhere and all that. I know the feeling. And being homeless and stalked and theater and shelters are in on it. So you got to sleep on the streets. Then you got to eat out of dumpsters because homeless shelters claim that they're not giving out food, but when you walk away, you see other people come get food. The whole rigmarole I've been through. So that was the whole point of starting this channel. So if you'd like to do one of those things, once again, hollyspunk@gmail.com or targeted testimonies at pm.me. God bless all TIs. God bless all MK Ultra survivors. God bless all satanic ritual abuse survivors. And any kind of experimentation, illegal experimenting survivors. God bless all y'all. And y'all are in my prayers. And I'm going to explain it one more time. The reason I did a video kind of sharing some of the same stuff I shared yesterday is because Evelyn Dench has contacted me and changed her mind. She said that there's some kind of thing where she could possibly get in trouble because there's censorship in the UK. So if they find out that she had me tell her story, they could get in trouble or something. So that's why she had me take it down. No biggie. Just look up the censorship in the UK. Like in the UK now, the way I understand it is you get if you speak and not correct me if I'm wrong. If you're in the UK and I'm wrong, correct me. But the way I've understand it and what I've been watching on Telegram is they've been arresting people for speaking their mind. There's no freedom of speech at all. So I'm rambling now. So anyway, God bless all TIs and satanic ritual abuse survivors, MK Ultra survivors, COINTELPRO survivors. God bless all y'all and the ones that didn't survive and their families. God bless.